conceptualization of this band began way back in School for the Blind.
Okay.
And it will be very intriguing for people to know that, I mean, a visually impaired person is blessed with what we refer to as perfect pitch in music. It means somebody can sing, and without necessarily being by the keyboard, one can be able to identify the key with which the person is singing.
Individually, we're trying to project individual talent, like our drummer who is right there, who went for World Dramathon.
If you're not pirating whatever it is, you just put a disclaimer on whatever you're putting on social media. And I think that settles it.
This is what it means to be a part of a musical band series.
Live from our studios here, hello, good afternoon and welcome to The Pulse. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125, and on all our social media handles. We're joining news on TV. It's a rainy afternoon here in Accra. Coming up, the stray cattle menace in Accra and other major cities gradually becoming a public safety concern after cows caused a train to derail in Accra. We speak to the Accra Metropolitan Assembly for answers. Also this afternoon on The Pulse, minority in Parliament line up a litany of issues they describe as key battles to be fought in a meeting they held earlier today as the House resumes. Also coming up, Public Accounts Committee call on Finance Ministry to consider yearly auditing of all government arrears claims to cut down on excesses. And also coming up on The Pulse, leadership of the opposition New Patriotic Party alongside scores of supporters besieged the Supreme Court to petition the Chief Justice for the immediate investigation and possible removal of Circuit Court Ninth Judge over alleged misconduct, abuse of judicial discretion and incompetence. The Pulse, as always, is brought to you by Defendro Cough Expector and Defendro Breathe Easy, Feel Better. My name is Fostina Sarfo. Please stay for details.
From Africa to football's biggest stage, you are invited to be a part of it. Feel the rush, the passion of every moment. Don't just watch the game, live the FIFA World Cup experience. With VIP seatings, exclusive lounges, gourmet dining, priority access at every turn, luxury all around you. Seamless, effortless, exceptional. Because this is more than a ticket. This is your FIFA World Cup 2026 experience. Brought to you by Match Experience Hospitality. Call 055 155 1119 or visit matchexphospitality.com to secure your packages or walk into any Absa Bank branch, our official banking partner, for more information and payment.
Hi, now let me share my wildlife experience with you at Safari Valley Eco Park.
Welcome to Safari Valley Eco Park.
Our electric shuttle pulled up and in no time our tour began. We were surrounded by wildlife from the moment we entered the Eco Park. We were greeted by experienced tour guides who took us through orientation and how to better enjoy the experience. Watch these animals roam freely in their natural habitat undisturbed by our presence. We saw zebras, sable antelope, brown cranes, mara, silky chicken, nyalas, Shetland ponies, and so many animals I just couldn't keep up. Our tour guides taught us so much about the wildlife, their behavior, and how to interact with them. I even fed them. We also went fishing on a man-made canal. Then we took a break to have lunch in this serene environment. All this amazing experience for this price for adults? This price for teenagers. It's a bargain. As the sun began to set, it was time to go back home, but not before dinner by the campfire. It has been a thrill of a lifetime, and I can't wait till my next visit.
Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature.
The bottle line has been drawn and history is calling. 2 giants, 1 trophy. Will this be Arsenal's first ever Champions League trophy? Or is PSG lifting it again for the 2nd time in a row? Join your #1 entertainment radio station, Hits 103.9 FM, at the Aviation Social Center as we watch Arsenal versus PSG battle on a giant screen. Ghana, get ready for the Hits FM Rep Your Jersey 2026. This year, we've ramped up the excitement with sports quiz, soccer tournament, the Champions League anthem competition, esports, JAMA, and more. All roads lead to the Aviation Social Center. Swag up your jerseys. Wear your football club jersey proudly. And let's all meet at the Aviation Social Center from 10 a.m. to late. Mark the date, Saturday, 30th May 2026. And get ready for lots of fun with friends and family. Entertainment with your favorite Hits FM personalities. Music with a Hits FM DJ squad. And amazing prizes to be won from 10 a.m. to the climax of the UEFA Champions League finale match in grand style. The Hits FM Rep Your Jersey 2026 is powered by Joy Sports with support from Joy Prime, Joy News, Joy FM, and My Journal Online, and proudly sponsored by TCL, Inspire Greatness, Star Oil, still quality and affordable fuel for all. Soccer Bet, your best bet for sports betting. Didi Shito, Efie DNA, Heineken, share the passion. Twisco chocolate food drink, power your dream. Ashesi University, educating the next generation of ethical and entrepreneurial leadership for Africa. Ayuda, Ghana's #1 services app. Abaco Services, baby. Franco Trading Enterprise. Still phone Papa Pafi. Day by day men. Strong and refined. The skincare you deserve. Heritage Christian University. Educating compassionate entrepreneurial leaders. Citizen Sports Mall. Level up your game. Aqua Natural Mineral Water. Obenumanum Bium. DSTV. Feel every moment. The Hits FM Rep Your Jersey 2026.
Thanks for choosing us. Well, across Accra, Kumasi, and other major cities, stray cattle are becoming a growing public safety concern, with herds often seen wandering onto busy roads, roundabouts, and rail lines. The danger came into sharp focus yesterday when 2 cows caused a train to derail at Aveno in Accra. Beyond traffic obstruction, many road users say they feel unsafe when confronted by cattle with large horns, especially when the animals are unsupervised or become aggressive. Meanwhile, the Public Accounts Committee has appeared and appealed to the Greater Accra Regional Minister to urgently intervene and facilitate the closure of a growing livestock market at Kanda, close to the National Mosque. PAC's Vice Chairperson and Impraiso MP Davis Opokwansa, who said this, also expressed concern about how this poses sanitation and environmental challenges, as well as affecting the image of the capital city.
We have our national mosque, I mean, on the Kaukudi stretch from Flagstaff House towards Kanda area. Now it looks like the place has been turned into a cow selling center. In fact, this week when I passed there, I saw them selling even camels, Afupongo. They were selling camels there. I mean, that is the heart of Accra. That is the capital of Accra. We have spent money, even at a point, we had a ministry which was in charge of beautification of Accra. And we are all looking on allowing this business to grow. First, it was about 5-6 cows. Now you go there, you see over 100 cows there, and cattle. They sell goats there, they sell cows there, they sell cattle there, and now they are selling camels. What is your ministry doing about this? Have you allowed that to happen?
Well, many more persons, commuters and drivers who have expressed concern about this increase in presence of cattle on major roads and residential communities are demanding immediate intervention. They spoke to Joy News.
As in the place where I'm wanting
Many accidents happen here because of these cattle, and when such incidents occur, the owners are nowhere to be found.
Last time, one Piota seller was passing by, and one of these animals knocked her down, and even all her Piota got burst, and the animal car was even trying to use his or her horn on the lady. It was people that were around, and they try and sack the animal before the lady was able to get up. So it's really something that is very worrying, and we'll be pleading with authorities to just come to our aid.
Movement sometimes delays because of a little traffic, because there's cattle in the way, they have to wait for it to get out, and it's not organized. People are not controlling them. So it would be helpful if they could wall off the places where the livestock is. They can just wall it off so that it's a bit of a controlled environment, so that there will be easy flow of traffic too as well.
Well, let's go on Zoom now and speak to Dr. Benjamin Kisi-Sasu. He is a risk communication officer at the Veterinary Services. Also joined the conversation on phone is the head of public affairs for the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, Gilbert Ni Ankra. We appreciate your time, gentlemen. Let me start with Benjamin Kisi-Sasu, because you are a risk communications officer. So we're just wondering, stray cattle are increasingly being seen on major roads in residential areas, really, in Ghana. From the Veterinary Services perspective, why is this problem becoming more widespread?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. It is true that this problem didn't start today, just that the past 2 or 3 weeks, we have seen it more. If you look the past 2 or 3 years, we normally see regional ministers, MMDCs issuing, a press release or a notice that people should manage or handle their animals very well. And when sometimes it comes on social media, you see people making some fun of it because they are not seeing the dangers. On this issue, Veterinary Services as a competent authority for animal health and welfare and protecting public health, local issues that are coming for animal health is of concern because, one, these animals need to be sent to a proper place, not just be left around. And animals may have some diseases that can also affect the public. That's the humans, not just those who are the owners, but those who pass by can just step on their waste. And if there's any infection, send it to their house. And it may be people who are immunocompromised and pick up these diseases. That's why in a developed country or in society, we need to have designated places for them. And when we talk about regulation of animal, we are looking at not just the livestock market, we are looking at even the movement. So Veterinary Services regulate movement of these animals. That is, if you are moving them from a farm to a slaughter facility or certain places, we usually have movement permit. But because the current work, we deal with different stakeholders. We have the security services that do enforcement. We have the local assembly that to provide the barrels market. And the past, we have had issues because we have complained about some state of slaughter facility, some state of livestock market because of the nature they are, and they pose public nuisances. And I'm not surprised to see this because we have already started singing this bill about these issues of these animals that's left around. the issues having at a vendor and all these things are things that is of concern, because we need to have proper structures. Even currently with the issue of the government setting up 24-hour market, and we are seeing livestock market going to be established. We have called that veterinary service should be involved in the planning, because we realize that sometimes most structures like slaughter facilities, markets will be done without really being consulted, and we realize it's not fit for the purpose. And these are the kind of things we are currently seeing, because we need to take into consideration how the place is walled, how the animals are going to get food, or let me say their food, how they're going to get their water, and their waste, which environmental health and sanitation would need to advise on that, because how the waste is also handled is of an issue. And even we only have issues with transporting. We realize even people buy animals, put them on motorcycles, put them on in vehicles, and start crowding them. These are issues of a bigger concern. It's a multi-faceted issue. Unfortunately, counted down to the Islamic festival, we are seeing more increase of this setup. And people even are not aware that when it comes to setting up a business for a livestock market, you need to meet different agencies. So the local assembly will give you a space and a business permit. Veterinary service must give you operational permit. So if you do those things, and we are not doing operational permit, because operational permit, come and look at whether the location is it viable, is it going to cause public health issues, is it more secure that it doesn't move away just like that? Are they necessary put in place so that if some of the animals start to behave, if some of them are sick, are there systems whereby you are going to isolate so that other animals in the market do not get sick? These are issues, and that's how come today the Chief Veterinary Officer for Veterinary Services for Ghana, Ministry of Food and Agriculture, issued a press release asking that, yes, this issue needs to be, we could look at it again and call for all the other stakeholders, local, the assembly, the environmental health and sanitation, and so that we do support. And we hope this time around we won't have interference of politicians, because when it happens like that, you will hear, oh, let's just our people, let's leave them and all those things. We need to plan our city well. We need these animals for food. At the same time, we need to have them so that the public feels safe and also have safe food.
Now, I'm wondering, especially because you say some of these individuals need operational permits, and what exactly do our laws say and regulations say about cattle rearing within urban areas? And do you even have enforcement powers, especially for individuals like we're seeing on our screens right now who do not have operational permits? Can you go there and tell them to pack from that space? Educate us.
So when it comes to stray animals, it is sits with the MMDA, the local assembly. The bylaws all over the country, MMDAs have the bylaws to talk about ownership of animals and leaving them to move around. They can go and impound them, and the laws need to staple the number of days so the owner don't come. They can sell them off, or they can sell them off and put the money back to chest. Or if the owner comes, there are penalties that the person pays, which the owner is taken to court because of public nuisance. And this calls for the local assembly to get more staff to help with that part. Now, when it comes to movement of these animals from farm to slaughter facility to places, when it comes to establishment of slaughter facility, livestock market, that's it with veterinary services with our two laws, the Disease of Animal Act, that's the one, and the Meat Inspection Regulation, LI 2020. That stipulates that they have to always seek for veterinary services to give permits. So we tell people that we don't just give one permit, we give permits or licenses for the operation of the livestock market or slaughter facility. We also give slaughter permits. So even though your
Benjamin, can you hear me? It appears that we've lost Dr. Benjamin Kisisa, so we'll bring him back because we want education, especially for some of these individuals selling by rail lines. They are vendors, and so we want to understand what role they can play. I'm told I have clear connection to him. I'll come back to him, but joining me now is Gilbert Nyankra, is Head of Public Affairs at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. We appreciate your time here on The Pulse. Now, residents and commuters, they're really concerned about it. They say stray cattle are becoming a regular sight on some major roads in Accra. Why has the Assembly struggled to deal with this issue effectively?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. And once again, on behalf of the Mayor of Accra, Honorable Michael Akufo-Addo, we say a good afternoon to your cherished viewers. For the city of Accra, with respect to enforcement in relation to stray animals, there is history. The Assembly has over the years ensured that persons who don't keep their animals within the confined environment are prosecuted, and evidence are there to show that we've taken a couple of them to court previous years. But currently, what we are doing as an assembly with respect to stray animals in general, if you look at the assembly control of animals bylaw 2017, for instance, it states quite clear that a person shall not keep a cattle, sheep, goat, or other animals within the assembly's jurisdiction without a permit issued by the assembly. It also requires that the animals are kept in a confined area. But currently we see otherwise. As an assembly, last month, for instance, Mayor Honorable Michael Akufo-Addo instructed the public health officers of the assembly to move in and ensure that, first and foremost, these cattle rearers are educated on the need to keep their cattle within a confined area. So as I speak to you now, we have issued notices to about 85 of them to ensure that they do the right thing. And the Assembly is looking at, from the first week of June, we're moving in to enforce the bylaws. So during this period, any animal found on the street straying, the Assembly is going to ensure that those stray animals are arrested in accordance with our bylaws, and then the owners will be arraigned and charged before a court. So currently, as an assembly, this is the arrangement that the mayor has directed, and we are just, we need to give them some time. Notices have been served, and within our jurisdiction, we are some level of improvement, and we are hoping that when we begin the enforcement from the first week of June, we wouldn't get more of these stray animals on the street, and owners will comply with our directive.
And Gilbert, the Public Accounts Committee, they are calling for the closure of livestock market near the National Mosque at Kanda. What steps are you taking as AMA to ensure that these concerns are addressed?
Thank you very much. Let me state that particular area within the Kaukudi area falls under Ayawaso East Municipal Assembly. That's what we stand in. The Mayor, Honorable Michael Akufo-Addo, as I speak to you now, is in close talks with the MC for the area, the Assembly for the area. We are collaborating to ensure that that particular concern raised by the Member of Parliament yesterday will be addressed, but technically that area doesn't fall within the AMA's jurisdiction, but we are collaborating to ensure that the right thing is done in that particular area.
But educators, there are currently bylaws really regulating the movement around of cattle within the capital, right?
Sure. Just so as I said earlier on, the Accra Metropolitan Assembly's control of animal bylaw 2017, it states quite clear that a person shall not keep cattle, sheep, goats, or other animals within the jurisdiction of the Assembly, first without a permit issued by the Assembly. It also requires that the animals are kept in a clean pen, not to create nuisance by stench, noise, and comply with sanitary rules set by the environmental health officers. The bylaw also provides that the cattle must not be brought into residential area streets, and the cattle should also be confined outside residential areas and on authorized areas. It further states that for swine, cattle, and other wildlife animals should also not be kept in premises other than a designated area approved by the Assembly. So if you look at the bylaw, this is specifically what the bylaw says. And just as I said, the mayor has already directed, we've issued sermons to these cattle owners within our jurisdiction, 85 of them. They are basically concentrated around the Aveno and then the Jamestown area. So we're looking at ensuring that from the 1st of June, just as I said, we'll get the bylaw to bite hard so that we prevent some of these occurrences.
But the cattle rearers and vendors around Aveno, they've been there for years, decades. In fact, I've been using that stretch for close to 10 years, and I see them all the time. So why exactly is enforcement weak?
Just as I said earlier on, the Assembly has over the years embarked on enforcement exercise, and it has been something that they've been doing periodically. This time around, I can make mention of Assembly one time summoning 64 of these cattle owners to court to the extent that these owners were even fined by the court for defying the orders. It's unfortunate that it has come again, but the Mayor, Honorable Michael Akufo-Addo, this time around, just as you said, has stated clearly that enforcement is going to be key in whatever we do as an assembly. Hence, when he came to office, we saw the commissioning of the sanitation court, which is very, very functional. And yesterday at the Public Accounts Committee, it came up. As I speak to you now, since the commissioning, the court has prosecuted over 100 offenders of various sanitation offenses. So it is very, very clear, and we want to send a strong signal that come first week of June, we are going to go very, very hard and strict on these owners of animals who don't normally keep them and then let them move around the street. We will ensure that these persons are dealt with in accordance with the law.
And I'm just wondering how effective this exercise you're about to embark on would be, knowing fully well that this issue has persisted for years and they seem to find their way back to the streets. So what plan really do you have to ensure that after evacuating them from the streets, they do not return?
As an assembly, let me state that engagement is very, very key in whatever we are doing. So in as much as the enforcement plan is there, we're also ensuring that we engage the cattle rearers for them to understand the need to do things right, especially when it comes to how they even keep these animals. So our sanitation office, environmental health officers have been engaging them. And as part of the plan, if you look at the AMA's jurisdiction very, very carefully, we normally don't see them on the streets as we used to see within other areas. But we want to let them understand the need to ensure that aside keeping them in a confined area and not even allowing them, just as we saw around the Aveno area, we would also ensure that within where they keep them, the place is very, very, very clean. So I can assure you on that with respect to what we are about to do, gone are the days the assembly, we have to move all the way to other jurisdictions to prosecute. This time around, we have a court within our jurisdiction. We have a court at our old office. And issues of enforcement has been key in whatever we do. And I can assure you that this time around, we are going to ensure that the law will definitely bite. And when the time comes, we will definitely have multimedia to follow us to ensure that these things are done.
Thank you so much, Gilbert. Now, let me wrap up with Dr. Benjamin. We've just been hearing from some residents, especially in Kumasi and Accra, raise concerns that some of these cattle are becoming more aggressive and dangerous when left unsupervised. What responsibility, really, do cattle owners have, and how can authorities ensure compliance?
Great. I'm so happy to hear that AMA and other MMDAs have been already started, and because when the press release was made, we sent to their ministries and respective. We call for more collaboration, and I think after that we'll be having some stakeholder engagement with them. And we will believe that every MMDC should try and collaborate with the veterinary officers in their various districts. And we hope now we have learned a trend. Before any festive occasions, we'll start to go in to do some education so that we'll not have it come back again. Because we are seeing the trend being before festive occasions. Now, to various regions who are facing these issues, where we have to tell livestock owners that this issue is not helping each other. It is true that they are in to provide food, they are in to make money, but they should do that in the remit of the law, so that people getting money will not go at the expense of people's lives, because in an accident alone can be costly. Just the vehicle getting.
Oh dear, I seem to have lost Dr. Benjamin Kisi-Sasu. He was just explaining to us what we can do, especially in other regions where we're experiencing the same thing. Hopefully we'll reconnect our lines and then we'll have that conversation with him. But away from that, let's head now to Parliament. The minority leadership, they've put forward a host of issues they describe as key battles they will be fighting in this year's sitting in Parliament. Speaking during media engagement with journalists in Parliament, Deputy Minority Leader Patricia Pieje warned the majority that their side will fight any attempt to stifle their voice. She explains they have key issues they will be battling on the floor and warned the majority against attempting to use their numbers to suppress their voice. Listen.
They will look at the taxes and revenue. Ghanaians are taxed enough. The minority reiterates its
I'll bring you that soundbite shortly, but let me take you to Parliament. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante is there for us. He joins us live from the House with more. Kweku, quite a lot of talking this morning. Both the majority and the minority held separate news conference. Let's talk about some of the responses from the majority leader. First, on yesterday's demand by the minority for an investigation into the Damang mine lease.
Yeah. Well, Fostina, yes, in fact, indeed, this was a joint news conference that is usually addressed by both sides, the leaders, at the resumption of Parliament. This was supposed to be yesterday, but it was moved for certain reasons. Yesterday on the floor, the minority leadership demanded that there be an investigation into the lease awarded to Ibrahim Mohammed's EMP for the Damang lease. And they said that the award was really questionable, the processes it went to. But the majority leader said there was no problem and that the NPP was simply exhibiting hypocrisy on this score, and that as far as he is concerned, there was nothing wrong with handing over that mine to the EMP, but also the fact that this process actually started some way under the NPP when they gave EMP the no objection letter to take over that mine. Listen to the majority leader lay out why perhaps they will not back any attempt to investigate that, because as far as he's concerned, that deal is above board.
To show that even under the NPP administration, before this administration took over, this same person was given a no objection by the government to acquire the same, concession. The mining company wanted to exit and asked the sitting government for a no objection because they think this is the best person to take over the concession when we leave. Because this is the person who has been mining it for us anyway. This happened under the NPP. Then, when the NDC took over and the world market price for gold started shooting up, the same mining company came back and said, no, we want to keep the mine. And government said, no. You have to give an indication that you want to leave. And where we are, we also want our own nationals who have capacity to also start owning these mines. Because when you make money, you take it to your country. But when that person makes money, he'll keep it in our country. So we want to keep it. Especially since you yourself have admitted that that person has capacity to continue your absence. Indicated that we didn't say that. You said that. So this is the background. These are the basic facts, and this is the background of the Damang mine. And so when today NDC now takes over, if under the NPP, you knew very well that Ibrahim Mahama was the brother of your main opponent, John Dramani Mahama. And yet you had no objection to he taking over that mine. Now John Dramani Mahama now comes into office and Ibrahim gets that mine. Then you say that he's getting it because his brother is the president.
Well, Kweku is still with us. Kweku, I know that he also offered some explanation on the delays in passing the anti-LGBTQ bill. Tell me more.
Yes, indeed. Yesterday, the Speaker of Parliament gave the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee the duration of this meeting to ensure that they present their report and work on ensuring that LGBTQ bill is passed. And there have been concerns in the public that perhaps Parliament is not taking that bill very seriously. According to the majority leader, one of the reasons why the bill is delaying is because, as we know, the bill imposes custodial sentences for some of the offenses prescribed under the law. And he said some MPs have expressed concerns about that, and they have sought to replace that with community sentencing. But as you know, we do not have a legislation covering community sentencing in the country as we speak. And so there is already a community sentencing bill that is coming from the Interior Ministry, which will have to be passed, which will also form the basis to incorporate same into the anti-LGBTQ bill that is currently before the House. Again, listen to Mahama Yarega, the majority leader, lay out those reasons.
It is a human, sexual, and family values bill. Now, that bill
We apologize for that. We're taking a quick turn here on the pulse. We'll be back with more. Please stay with us.
Also available, Kidivite multivitamin drops for babies under 12 months. Grow strong, grow healthy with Kidivite. Distributed by NS Chemist Limited. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Another week is here on the greatest of all time show. My name is Giovanni Clip, and tonight we're bringing you talent. Contestant number one, let's bring Baby Girl. Let's bring. You did it for you.
Cut. Oh, there is a leakage.
Where's the plumber? For quality and durability, insist on Syntex pipes. If you want quality, this be where you belong. Strong, tough, and reliable. Your perfect match to your trusted Syntex pipe. Syntex pipe, it dey carry water, no wahala. Syntex pipe, it dey make water dey flow. Syntex, and you're strong, and you're tough.
From Africa to football's biggest stage, you are invited to be a part of it. Feel the rush, the passion of every moment. Don't just watch the game. Live the FIFA World Cup experience. With VIP seatings, exclusive lounges, gourmet dining, priority access at every turn, luxury all around you. Seamless, effortless, exceptional. Because this is more than a ticket. This is your FIFA World Cup 2026 experience. Brought to you by Match Experience Hospitality. Call 055 155 1119 or visit matchexphospitality.com to secure your packages or walk into any Absa Bank branch, our official banking partner, for more information and payment.
Cadbury Hot Chocolate. Crafted from cocoa, milk, and sugar. Creamy, chocolatey, frothy goodness, rich taste, so satisfying.
Cadbury goodness, the treats you deserve every day.
What if 1924 was never just a year, but the beginning of every step with you? What if life wasn't just about the big milestones, but every small, beautiful beginning? A first job, a first risk taken, with someone walking alongside. What if protection felt like comfort, like a shared umbrella in a sudden storm? What if your business kept moving, rain or shine? What if healthcare came with hope and every heartbeat had a backup plan? What if retirement was a reward, with time, freedom, and laughter under trees? What if home and work became places your story belongs? What if goodbyes could be beautiful and losses made with care? Enterprise, your advantage.
The conceptualization of this band began way back in School for the Blind.
Okay.
And it will be very intriguing for people to know that, a visually impaired person is blessed with what we refer to as perfect pitch in music. It means that somebody can sing, and without necessarily being by the keyboard, one can be able to identify the key with which the person is singing.
Individually, we're trying to project individual talent. Like our drummer, who is right there, who went for World Dramathon.
If you're not pirating whatever it is, you just put a disclaimer on whatever you're putting on social media. And I think that settles it.
This is what it means to be a part of a musical band series.
This week on the Career Trail.
I was born in the States. I wanted to be an aerospace engineer. So I'm graduating at this point. I don't have a job. I don't have a business either. I remember I sent, sending emails to people that had businesses on the continent. I'm sure whoever was reading the email didn't even know where Ghana was. And then for 2 years, made a lot of money in the process. And I decided to now focus on Ping Ping. This lady just walks out and, she's talking to her friend. She's like, ice cream, 10 cedis. And come if I go to food. Listen, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere.
By midday, the day has spoken, stories have broken, events have unfolded.
We call on governments and cocoa board to pay our cocoa farmers immediately.
Now it's time to take stock. This is Joy News Today. As it happens, as it matters to you, from Accra to every region, from Parliament to the courts, our correspondents are on the beat, bringing you the latest developments, verified facts, and the context behind the headlines.
This authority is not going to be tough for the men. This authority will not affect the suffering unemployed youth.
On Joy News Today, there are no fragments of speculation, but a clear picture of where the country stands right now.
Because of Galamsey, Ghanaians voted against NPP for NDC to come and do better. But the better now,
so you can stay informed, stay connected, and stay ahead. Joy News Today on Joy News. Independent, fearless, and credible. Well, thanks for staying with us. To other stories now, the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament has called on the Finance Ministry to consider a yearly auditing of all government arrears claims instead of waiting till the end of the tenure of a government. The call was made by the chairperson of the committee, Abnose Asari, at the end of the zonal hearing sitting in Adan. First, listen to her concern over the recurrence of some infractions in the Auditor General's report over the period.
Committee remains deeply concerned about recurring infractions within the public service, including unsupported expenditures, procurement breaches, weak internal controls, delayed retirement of interest, payroll irregularities, and in some instances, the deliberate padding of invoices and inflation of claims. These issues are not merely accounting errors. They undermine public trust and weaken confidence in state institutions. We therefore wish to remind all public servants and civil servants that accountability begins long before one appears before the Public Accounts Committee. It begins at the point of decision-making, documentation, procurement, certification, and payment approval. Every public officer must appreciate that public funds are sacred funds. The future of public financial management in Ghana will depend not only on laws and systems, but also on personal integrity, ethical leadership, and professionalism within the civil service and public institutions. The Ministry of Finance is encouraged to find cost-effective means for training all public spending officers as well as middle-level officials in the requirements of the revamped Public Financial Management Act.
Well, she believes some of these excesses can be reduced if a special audit is carried out annually instead of at the end of government tenure.
Transparency in this area is critical. Regular disclosure will improve fiscal credibility, strengthen expenditure control, and reduce the need for recurring special audits of this nature.
Well, away from that, scores of supporters of the opposition New Patriotic Party have besieged the premises of the country's highest court to petition the Chief Justice, Paul Baffa-Bunny, on issues that they deem fit. Now, the party says that they want Paul Baffa-Bunny to immediately trigger processes that could lead to the removal of Circuit Court 9 Judge Joseph Konsong over alleged misconduct. The move follows a remand decision, however, handed over against the Bono Regional Chairman of the party, Kwame Bafo, popularly known as Abronye DC, and Sunyani East Communications Officer of the party, Abubakar Yakubu, popularly known as Baba Mando. The petition, spearheaded by the party's General Secretary Justin Kodia Frimpong, raises serious concerns over what the NPP describes as abuse of judicial discretion, misconduct, and the incompetence demonstrated by the judge in the handling of the case. Well, my colleague Fatal Bayaga was in court. He joins me live in the studio. Fatal, they have submitted the petition, right?
Very interestingly, yesterday they served noticed that they were going to serve or petition the Chief Justice in relation to this particular case. They came to the Supreme Court a few minutes after 10, and told the media that by 11 they would have, presented the petition to the Chief Justice. Then a few hours after that, in fact, we waited till around midday. Then the General Secretary of the party, Justin Kodia Frimpong, informed the media that their protocol members went to see officials at the office of the Chief Justice, and basically what they were told was that the Chief Justice was not available to receive the petition, and for that reason, it has to be rescheduled. So as we speak now, Foste, it is clear that the NPP was unable to submit that petition demanding the removal, in fact, investigation and subsequent removal of Circuit Court 9 Judge Joseph Yunuban Konsong, who they allege that he hasn't exhibited professionalism in the discharge of his judiciary role. They think that he is influenced by, politics in the discharge of his duties, and he needs to be removed. In fact, they say that the case in relation to Abronya, they don't want him to be the one presiding over it. They want a new person to take over from him. So basically, Fosti, they were unable to submit their petition to the CJ.
And I saw some supporters outside the premises of the Supreme Court, clearly outraged. Why?
Yes, they are not happy because they say that the manner in which the governing party is treating their members is becoming, very, very worrying. In fact, some of them say that over the few months, many of their supporters have been arrested. And in fact, what really angered them this time around is the arrest of one of their activists in the Ashanti region. She comes from the Kumewu area. She was on, TikTok, allegedly threatening the life of the president and his wife and all of that. And the police, the cyber unit division, went for her. They brought her to Accra. The supporters of the party say that they are not happy with that because this is a young lady who was basically expressing her frustration in relation to the, current, governance system in this country and all of that. So it was unfortunate that the, police went to arrest this lady, and they believe that this is because the government wants to gag dissenting views, particularly from members of the opposition. So, in fact, the General Secretary of the party himself expressed similar sentiments and saying that it is time that the governing party stops some of these, steps in terms of trying to stop opposition members from expressing their views in relation to the current governance. We can listen to the General Secretary of the party, Justin Kodia-Frimpong.
We also got the information that one of our own, our social media communicator, is being brought to the circuit court on some 2 charges. Quickly, we rushed to the court, and as has been explained by our legal representation, the attempts by the NDC government to gag members and supporters of the New Patriotic Party will not wash. If they feel and think that by always arraigning our members before the court and also in some instances keeping them in their custody will make our supporters keep or go silent, they should know that since they started somewhere in January 2025, it has rather re-energized our base. And as and when they invite or arraign our members before the court, the party will never turn our back on them. But let me send a question again to our friends in the NDC and to you, the media and the civil society, that no condition is permanent and power is transient. If we are all agreeing or accepting this norm, this behavior from the NDC as a norm, then when the power changes, none of you should complain. The status quo will continue. I use this means to assure our members that they should not feel intimidated and they should not keep quiet. We are not a party made up of coward people. We are a party made up of bold people. As our ancestors stood up and fought against oppressions, so shall we, the current generation, continue to fight. The elephant lives on and shall continue to live on. Thank you very much. People connected to the office and we didn't get a response, so it was deemed that they are aware of our letter, not which they are aware. But if we are sending a petition to the person, he says it's not ready, at least you start by giving the person the benefit of the doubt. So today and Monday is not far. So let's wait and see on Monday how they will communicate back to us. Then we take it from there.
General, did they give you any reason for them?
Well, they just said they are not ready today. So let's see what will happen on Monday. Thank you.
Well, Fatau is still with me in the studio. Now, we understand that Amina Mahama, the lady in question, circulating on social media about comments she made about the president, was arraigned in court today. What transpired?
Absolutely. So Mahama Aminat was in court wearing a black T-shirt, pairing that with a pair of jeans trousers. I mean, her composure was very calm as she listened to the lawyers and the legal teams in court today. So basically, based on what we've heard from her lawyer, who is the Member of Parliament for Mensia South, Nana Bafo-Ejewa, and in his arguments in court, basically he said that, okay, this lady, she has a permanent place of abode. Apart from that, she's a trader, and there are some formidable members of the NPP who want to serve as, sureties for her. So for that reason, he was, he moved the motion and pleaded with the court, or prayed to the court for her to be granted bail, among other things. So once he said that, the prosecution, on the other side, opposed that or objected to that particular motion, saying that if the lady was granted bail, in fact, that would interfere with investigations, among other things. In fact, they quoted portions of the Constitution, Article 96 of Act 30, 1960, to say that if the grants bail to the lady, it would really affect, prevent them in terms of investigating this particular matter. But Bafo-Ejewa, pushed back and said that the court needed to grant her bail because, in fact, she has nowhere to go and all of that. Then the judge made her ruling and granted her bail with a bail sum of 1 million Ghana cedis with 3 sureties, and also asked her to deposit her Ghana card and then her passport at the registry of the court. In fact, as part of these conditions, and for the legal team of Aminat, they believe that, in fact, even in court, they told the judge that she doesn't have a passport, but the court insisted that she has to deposit a passport at the registry. So the legal team, seemed to be very concerned about that and saying that probably that was just another way of preventing her from being granted bail and all of that. So the judge then asked them to apply for a bail variation for her to be granted bail eventually. So the legal team, they are working around the clock to get that done, but they are really concerned about this. We can take a listen to Bafo-Ejewa, who is the lawyer of Mahama Aminat.
For the prosecution to arraign her before court. Following the arraignment, the prosecution read the charge sheet, the offense, and the brief facts. We then made the application for bail. When we made the application for bail, we contended strongly that these are facts, the facts put before the court are facts that were yet to be established. That being the case, and taking into account the fact that the charge against her was a misdemeanor, there was no basis in having her remanded. The prosecution thought otherwise, and so they made a very strong contention for her to be remanded. Indeed, very laughable, for want of a better word, was their contention that unless she's remanded, her release is going to excite Ghanaians to also commit similar offences. Clearly, they wanted a remand to punish her, and so that was their position. But the court disagreed with them, and the court granted bail. But unfortunately, the terms of the court were so onerous to the extent that the court made an order for her to deposit her passport. When it was obvious that she doesn't have a passport, and the court's attention was drawn to saying, indeed, the court then said that we should bring an application for variation of its order. For us, it was unfortunate because the court's ink was yet to dry, and that we had highlighted that for the court to take that into account, because not every Ghanaian has a passport. And so to include same in your bail conditions, right, it's more like refusing the person bail unless that variation order is made. Today is Friday. What it simply means is that the variation cannot be done in the next 2 days, where we need to serve the other side by giving them reasonable notice. And so it's unfortunate that by this she's hampered or she's constrained. But we hope to work assiduously to get her out. That for us is unfortunate.
So, Councillor, apart from
So she was granted bail in the sum of 1 million cedis with 3 sureties. One of whom should be a civil servant. The other should be one who will secure it with a landed property. And then she herself will have to deposit her passport and then Ghana card.
While still on the MPP, some aggrieved members and supporters of the party in Takwa and Swayam constituency have staged a protest against what they describe as unfair treatment and manipulation by the party's ongoing internal electoral process. The supporters marched through the principal streets of Takwa despite heavy rains earlier today, demanding intervention from the national leadership of the party. They accused some constituency executives and influential party figures of supervising a process they claim lacks fairness, transparency and inclusiveness. Natalia Kwanzaa reports.
Despite the rains, these aggrieved supporters and grassroots members of the new patriotic party marched through the streets of Takwa to register their displeasure over the party's ongoing polling station election. Holding placards and chanting party songs, the demonstrators accused some constituency leaders of manipulating the electoral process and unfairly disqualifying persons seeking various polling station executives' position. The protesters insist the process has created division and mistrust within the party at a time they believe the constituency needs unity ahead of the 2028 general election.
The MPP was established and anchored on democratic values and principles. But what we are witnessing here in the constituency is a complete disregard for the set rules and guidelines that the national leaders introduced to govern this electoral process.
The spokesperson of the group, Akufo-Addo Naka, says the demonstrators are demanding fairness, transparency, and respect for due process in the internal election. Other protesters also alleged that some aspiring executives were treated unfairly during the vetting process based on perceived alignment.
Vetting, people will come and spend just few minutes, just 1 minute, and they left. But other people, when they see that you are not aligned with them, they will interview you for more than 30 minutes, and so you will be at the interview center. So a lot of people have been disqualified. And as at now, we are not happy about disqualifying people. That's why people have been gathering and people are protesting against. We've done a lot of things that we draw attention of the national to come in. But so we've seen that the national is not ready for us to be at where we have to be.
Some of the demonstrators further accused former member of parliament for the constituency, George Mekuduka, of influence and development within the constituency.
Party national executive today, re-election because election from registration basically about to it seems like we didn't see any fairness in it. It's a they are not being fair at all.
The group later presented a petition demanding an independent investigation into the conduct of the electoral process within the constituency. Among their demands are fresh elections in affected areas and equal treatment for all party members regardless of fractional affiliation. Natalia Kwanzaa, Joy News, Takwa.
Away from Takwa, the Minister for Roads and Highways and Member of Parliament for Adaklu, Kwame Govins Aguja, has visited victims of the devastating mudslide at Adaklu in the Volta region, where residents remain traumatized after huge rocks and mud swept through parts of the community during Wednesday evening. Heavy rains. Well, the incidents damaged homes and vehicles, injured a woman and her 3-year-old son, and has reignited concerns over human activities in the community. Ivy Sechaji has more in the following report.
Fear and uncertainty continue to grip residents of Adaklu Helekpe following Wednesday evening's mudslide disaster. Huge rocks and thick mud descended from the Adaklu mountain during a heavy downpour shortly after 6 p.m., sending residents fleeing for safety. At least 5 houses were affected, while 3 vehicles were damaged in the incident. Nearly 50 goats and other livestock were also killed. A 26-year-old woman and her 4-year-old son, who were trapped beneath the debris, were rescued by residents before emergency personnel from the Ghana National Fire Service arrived at the scene. On Thursday, Roads and Highways Minister and Adaklu MP Kwame Governs Agboja, together with the Volta Regional Minister James Gunu and the District Chief Executive, visited the affected communities to assess the destruction and interact with displaced families. Speaking during the visit, Mr. Agboja said the community was fortunate the incident happened at night when fewer people were around the mountain.
We are grateful to Almighty God that once again we didn't lose a life, though 2 of my people are injured at the hospital. If you recall, this is the second time in a few years that this has happened. On both occasions, it's happened in the night. If it were to happen during the day when my people are on the mountain for farming and other things, it would have been a different story. I am not sure whether we'll be lucky for the 3rd time. So my suggestion to the elders is to find a way of, let's have a dialogue as to whether we want to continue cultivating our crops around the mountain. Adaklu is blessed with so much landmass that you don't necessarily need to crop around the mountain. Rather, let's see whether we can restore the ecology around the mountain and use it for other profitable things like tourism and others.
The Volta Regional Minister James Gunu says the affected area has now been declared a disaster and security zone.
We have actually discussed with the owner of the facility, and he's taking steps to at least take out all the valuables and also look at the possibility of relocating, as a temporary measure. The whole place now has become a security zone. It's a disaster scene, and anybody visiting this site needs to be very careful because we cannot guarantee the safety of our people. So we need to send a message around. Yes, all those who go to the mountain for farming from now need to be very careful because we are entering into the rainy season.
Ivy Satoji, Joy News, Adaklu Helekpe.
As climate and environmental pressures persist in Ghana, young climate reporters are calling for urgent action, pointing to how flooding is increasingly affecting children and families in vulnerable communities. They say flooding, drought, rising temperatures, and food insecurity are disrupting daily life, with children among the most affected. At the Youth Climate Reporters National Dialogue hosted by Joy News here in Accra, participants called for stronger youth involvement in climate decision. They stressed that young people must be part of both problem solving and the awareness process. Deborah Enimwa Beidu reports.
The dialogue brought together young reporters, academics, and development partners to discuss climate impacts across Ghana. For Ebenezer John Ahing, a climate advocate, perennial flooding in places like Odona and several other communities across the country often force families out of their homes, with children suffering the most in all cases.
I once lived in Adabraka in the Klote-Kole municipality. And there is a particular place that is very popular, that's Odona, Sahara, that floods almost every year. And where I lived, there was a church there, and so I was the custodian of the keys to the church. And I could be sleeping at 1 a.m. and I'll hear a knock on my door. And that knock is from some church members who happen to live in Sahara or Odona, who have been sacked or basically been forcefully moved out of their rooms because of the heavy downpour of the rain.
Meanwhile, organizers say the dialogue was created to ensure that young people are fully included in climate decision-making processes, since they are the ones expected to implement many of the future actions and policies being discussed.
We have trained and worked with young reporters, like example like this, where we trained 200 young people to become community climate reporters.
So the essence of this dialogue was to give them that platform to let the decision makers, to let development partners, to let academia know that we are the ones going to lead or execute the various plans you are putting together for the future. We just want to let you know that we want to understand what it is that you intend to implement in the future.
I am impressed with this program because I feel I have seen young people who are enthused and very concerned about climate action. I think it should now become climate advocacy.
Speaking on the sidelines of the dialogue, the Pro-Vice Chancellor and Project Director of the African Climate Collaborative at the University of Ghana, Professor Gordon Awandari, called for the introduction of climate change education at all levels of learning to build awareness from childhood and shape responsible behavior.
We need that level of awareness at all levels from, the very young age, so that it guides their actions, it guides their choices. Just ordinary daily activities. If they are aware of what the impacts of their daily activities are on the climate, these are things that children can really appreciate.
10 outstanding young climate change reporters drawn from across Ghana were recognized for their impactful community storytelling skills. They took home plaques, certificates, and other souvenirs.
After months of tension and resistance over fears of displacement, the Ashaman Municipal Assembly says the area will not lose out on a 24-hour market. For them, the project has faced fierce resistance from some traders and groups over concerns of losing their trading spaces after redevelopment. But the Ashaman Municipal Chief Executive, Freeman Chekpo, says progress is being made following the inauguration of a 13-member stakeholder committee to register all traders currently operating within the market. Kwame Yanka has more in the following report.
The Ashaman Municipal Assembly says progress is being made toward the redevelopment of the Ashaman market into a modern 24-hour economy trading hub, despite resistance and concerns from some traders and groups over possible displacement. Since November 2025, the Assembly on a number of occasions has engaged traders and stakeholders on redevelopment of the market, but fears about losing trading spaces fueled opposition to the project. Officials insist no legitimate trader will be left out of the process. As part of the process, the Assembly has inaugurated a 13-member stakeholder committee to register all traders currently operating in the market, including shop owners, shed operators, and tabletop sellers. Here is the Ashaman Municipal Chief Executive, Freeman Chekpo.
The 24-hour economy market we intend building at the place, when we are done, we will share it back to the people who were there. So this data is very important for us. It is the mandate of the Assembly to do that, but we want stakeholders to be involved, all to build trust. We want the market women to have confidence in the data and in the process. That is why this committee is made up of representatives of the assembly members of the electoral area, the market women themselves, traders, the traditional council is represented, the MP is represented as the leader of the people, and then the assembly with its technocrats are also represented. And we are expecting that within the next 4 weeks, this committee will produce a very good data that tells all the story about shared stores and trading in the market.
Freeman Chepo added that discussions are ongoing behind the scenes to secure alternative trading spaces for traders when construction of the market begins. A representative of the Ashaiman chief and member of the committee, Simon Amuitete, urged traders to cooperate with the committee as it compiles data on all traders.
Under the leadership of John Dramani Mahama, Ashaiman has been able to benefit for a market restructuring. I think it's a good one. So we are all trying to hold on to it for the changing of the market and the beautification of Ashaiman. Committee which is being inaugurated to ours is to take data for those who are there and those who also are selling along the street. We'll do our best to capture all of them, but there is one thing which is the fear of the women, that maybe when the market is being done, most of them will not have their place. But we will assure them this work will be done free and fair so that everybody will have its share back.
The Assembly assured of steps which will help mitigate challenges that will be experienced during redevelopment of the Ashaiman market. Kwame Yankes reports for Joy News.
Well, away from that, the robotics team of Bosomtwe SHS Senior High School returned to a rousing welcome in the Ashanti region after representing Ghana at 2026 World RoboFest Championships in the United States of America. The all-female team, after a display of innovative dexterity at this year's competition, placed fourth in the time trial battle sumo category. My colleague Emmanuel Bradqueko has more in the following report.
Family and the school, Bosomtwe Girls STEM SHS, have gathered at what appears to be a guard of honor for the students who represented the school at the 2026 World RoboFest Championship, and they are being welcomed in and serenaded by the cultural troupe of the school and given a guard of honor by the cadet corps of the school for this achievement, representing Ghana at the World Championship, and they placed fourth in this championship. And in fact, this is an achievement for the entire school, an achievement for the family, the girls, and in fact the whole of the Ashanti region, to see an all-female squad lead the school into the World Championship and crowning them.
So on behalf of the headmistress and the management of Bosomtwe Girls STEM High School, we want to welcome our young ladies who have done so well. It takes such intelligent, disciplined, and hard-working young ladies to go and compete internationally with so many schools, more than 60 schools, and then come up with a fourth position. We are so grateful to God.
And so these are the girls that have come all the way from the USA representing Ghana at this year's World RoboFest Championship, and in fact they placed fourth in one of the categories.
It feels very exciting to come and meet all these people, congratulating us for our win. It's a very nice experience. If girls are introduced to these things more, it will enlarge the technological world of Ghana.
It's not supposed to be only our school that they must bring much resources into it. Other schools, even though they don't offer STEM into it, they must bring much resources into them so they can all, like the national levels like this, for example, it was a bit easy for us. So when we went there, we thought that's how it's going to be, but it was a bit difficult there.
It's a new thing that has been introduced into the country, and looking at what is happening elsewhere, it is hoped that we can also do better as Ghanaians.
So I will plead on the President and then the Minister of Education that it's not going to end here. We have World Robot Olympiad just ahead of us in July. They should come in aid of the school, Bosomtwe STEM girls. there's something wonderful happening there.
Thank you very much. And so these are the girls and also a coach from the Bosomtwe Girls STEM SHS. And in fact, they say that with the needed support and resources, they would be able to attain more for this country and in fact for the rest of the world. From here at the Prempeh, the first international airport in Kumasi, my name is Emmanuel. Right quick.
Well, Germany is facing a growing challenge from cybercrime, with authorities warning that the country remains one of the world's most important targets for digital attacks. New figures show hundreds of thousands of cases each year, with massive economic damage running into hundreds of billions of euros. For more on this, join me now as Thomas Power live from our partner station, DW from Berlin. Thomas, great to have you on the show. Tell us more about those figures and what Germany authorities are really doing to strengthen cybersecurity.
A very attractive target for cybercriminals, both from an economic perspective and from a political perspective. We're talking here of around 335,000 cases that German authorities recorded last year alone. That's a very significant number, and authorities actually stressed that the actual number could be much higher because many cases remain unreported. And beyond this, the economic damage has also been described as being very significant, around 200 billion euros in damages. And just to put that into context, that's around 4.5% of Germany's GDP. What German authorities are actually doing are incrementing their legal capabilities, their technical capabilities as well, because they believe that cyber criminality is evolving very quickly. In fact, one of the trends that they believe could happen in 2026 is actually cyber criminals using quantum computing to enhance their cyber crime. So obviously German authorities are trying to keep up with the pace as well. And something else which is particularly relevant is trying to increase international cooperation, because most of the 335,000 cases that were registered actually came from abroad, which poses a very significant challenge for German authorities when it comes to finding who was behind those cyber attacks and then obviously prosecuting them as well.
Why is Germany such a significant target for cyber criminals compared to other countries?
Germany is one of the most important economies in the world. It is at the center of the European Union. It has significant critical infrastructure and major companies that are obviously very important around the world. So from an economic perspective, Germany is a very significant target. I already mentioned some of the actual numbers. But politically, Germany is also very significant and very important for cyber criminals, in particular for its support of Ukraine. German authorities believe that many of the attacks, many of the cyber attacks are actually politically motivated, and they may have come from the Russian sphere of influence, if you will. That is something that was seen not only when it comes to companies that were attacked, but also, for example, public services that were attacked in several cities, or also public offices. So it's not only about the economy, it's not only about ransomware, if you will, but it's also about the political impact that comes with so-called hacktivists, in particular from the Russian sphere of influence. That's something that for German authorities remains a very significant challenge, and that explains why Germany remains a significant target for cyber criminals, both from an economic point of view, but also from a political point of view as well.
And I'm quite interested in the concerns being raised by authorities that AI is now changing the landscape and increasing the threat. I'm wondering how exactly cyber criminals are using these new technologies in their activities.
So they are using AI in particular to speed things up when it comes, for example, to sending phishing emails in various languages very quickly using the style of specific companies. So one element where authorities see AI being used is precisely to make things much more easy for cyber criminals and much more advanced for them as well. This has the impact that it lowers the bar also for potential cyber criminals that want to enter the business. They don't need all the skills that were needed in the past. A second second element in which AI is being used is to find specific gaps, specific weaknesses in IT systems in German companies. That's something else that's a significant concern for German authorities. However, experts have also warned that just as AI is being used by cyber criminals to speed things up, AI can also be used in a defensive way to help companies and help institutions specifically find those gaps before they're actually attacked by cyber criminals. So essentially, German authorities in that report, where they mentioned those statistics, also stressed that the situation is evolving very quickly from an economic perspective, but also evolving very quickly from a technological perspective as well. And that's why they basically need to keep up with the pace as well.
Thank you so much, Thomas, for your time here on The Pulse. And that's how we wrap up The Pulse. I appreciate your time and your company. On Fridays, The Pulse lasts 1 hour, 30 minutes. So we start at 2 p.m. and we end at 3:30. We appreciate your time and your company. Beyond the Numbers is next. Please stay with us.
In 2025, the Bank of Ghana reported a loss of 15.63 billion Ghana cedis. But without one major move, that loss would have been 33.19 billion Ghana cedis.
So what actually changed the picture? Gold. The bank sold refined gold it had accumulated under its domestic gold purchase program.
The gold was bought mainly in 2023 and 2024, when prices were relatively lower. By 2025, prices had increased. So when the bank sold it, it made 9.57 billion Ghana cedis in profit.
And there is also the savings jar effect, past gains from rising gold prices that were not actually recorded immediately.
When the gold was sold, those gains were released, adding 7.99 billion Ghana cedis.
So in total, gold delivered 17.56 billion Ghana cedis in relief. Without it, the loss jumped to 33.19 billion Ghana cedis.
So now, what was actually driving the losses underneath?
16.73 billion Ghana cedis open market operations. This is the bank paying commercial banks to hold onto excess cedis instead of lending them out. It's a standard tool used to reduce money in circulation in the economy, just to cool down inflation. But in 2025, it came at a very high cost, and that's 16.73 billion Ghana cedis.
9.05 billion Ghana cedis from other gold program losses. These are trading and operational losses outside the main gold sale, including the wind down of gold for oil program.
The exchange rate, 5.47 billion Ghana cedis stronger cedi impact. The cedi moved from 14.7 Ghana cedis to